Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Monday, March 2nd. It's time for some industry insights. We've got a big day lined up today. I've got my co-host here with me, Brent Hutto. Brent, good morning, good Monday.
Good morning, KR. Again, I'm on the road, my man.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Where are you this week?
Well, I just left Orlando at about 6 o'clock this morning, driving up to Hilton Head to do a family thing. But traveling right now through Savannah, Georgia. I was at the TCA, the Truckload Carriers Association show, and the Food Shippers Association event, two of the largest events in the marketplace, and they happen to be on the same exact days at hotels about 3 miles apart in Orlando. So back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But man, you're right. There is a lot to talk about in transportation today, as always. But it seems like there's more today than ever. So
there's more.
Man, it's going to be a fun show today.
There's more today in transportation. There's more today in health. There's more today in politics. My brain is hurting these days. Yeah. I am doing so much reading and so much research, and there's just a lot going on. How was your weekend?
Here.
Before we get too serious, how was your weekend?
Well, my weekend. Well, thank you for asking. My weekend was at the Truckload Carriers Association. My wife and I flew into Orlando on Friday morning, and we had a little half day to ourselves, which was kind of fun. And then the Truckload Carriers Association event started first thing on Saturday morning. So it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday show.
Got it.
And Food Shippers was the same. So, but yeah, so it was a work weekend, kind of, if you could say that. But good to be in Orlando. The weather was cooperative, and so that was good.
You're in my old stomping grounds. I lived there for 14 years.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it. Absolutely.
Oh, all right. So it is officially spring in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, is it? Did it get above like 45 degrees or something? Or what do you mean? By the way, I can see you on video. I can see you on video. If Angie wants to send me, I'll try to jump on video. But I am literally, my wife is driving and I'm going down the highway here. So
yeah, we could. Either
way,
we'll see. If you want to try, you can. If not, no big deal today. So here's
for sure. Spring in the Northwest.
It did get a little warmer, but I went out in the garden this weekend, which was pretty awesome. And I have crocuses blooming already, and the tulips are all coming up. Yeah. Yep. So I'm excited. Days are getting longer. Time to get out in the garden and get active again. I've been so inactive this winter, just sitting around staring at a screen working. It's time to get outside and move some. All right, so let's jump in because there's a lot going on. Here's what I want to start with. There's a lot of talk in the industry right now about safety. You know, we have chameleon carriers, we have accidents, we have people dying on the road. Oh, there you are. Look at that. Boy, talk about technology. Yeah.
Boom, it worked this time. There you go. That's fantastic.
All right. Good deal.
There you go.
All right. So you said there's a lot going on, lots of
safety-wise.
Yeah, non-domiciled drivers, all of that. Here's the problem that I see happening already, and I think there's actually a case being heard again, or this may be the first time. The broker liability case with the Supreme Court. I thought we went through that once already. Maybe not, though.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah, a little bit. I actually see it. I think with C.S. Robinson has just got to a big case where they weren't considered liable. That was kind of a landmark case for transportation for brokers and what it's called vicarious liability.
Right.
You know what that is, but you may want to explain that to your listeners in case they may not know what it is.
Vicarious liability, the easiest way I could explain is it's not necessarily the primary reason something happened. It is a proxy. Proxies being used a lot now. vicarious
Right.
by chance kind of. That's my problem. That's my whole problem with what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing it from the drivers especially. I'm getting tons of pushback on this is a broker problem. It is what they're trying to make this a broker problem. I think this is a horrible idea to go down this road. I believe when there are problems, the same way I believe about health, you find the root cause. What started this problem? How far back can we go to say if this didn't happen, this would have never happened? Because anytime you go jump in midstream to solve the problem, you haven't solved the problem. You've covered it up or put a Band-Aid on it, and there are downsides to that, big downsides. Here's what I'm saying, and I want to read this too. I don't know if you saw this from Craig or not. This is from Craig Fuller. It says, we have spoken with large brokers and we're hearing a trend. Some shippers are demanding that their freight is not posted on load boards for fear of theft or compliance shutdowns. This is the problem with not going after the root cause of the problem. This is not a broker issue. The broker should not have to work this hard to vet somebody that they may not be able to vet anyway. This goes back to, why does that carrier have authority? Why do they have insurance? Why do these drivers have a CDL? And if we address it there, we actually solve the problem. But I see this trend is, let's go after the easy one. Let's just blame the brokers on, using these carriers that are causing accidents.
Right. Well, I'd say it's a couple things. Number one, I probably need to reach out to Craig and talk to him about that, about his interviews with these large brokers that are saying the shippers don't want their freight on the load board. And I've spoken about this widely in the industry with security people at conferences and stuff. The issue with using spot market carriers is not through the load boards. It's through the private market offers that are not controlled by but not enough security when it comes to the freight being offered to a carrier. So you're right. The vetting we shouldn't have to go through this amount of vetting in the industry, because our governance, the FMCSA, should be keeping those bad players out. There should be more vetting. There should be a higher bar to be in this industry for sure. But it's easy to say a load board because you get two main targets with that: the truck stop and DAT. But I'll tell you, the fraud's not. I mean, if you look at the aggregate numbers, the fraud for the most part is not on the load board. It's outside of the controlled marketplace of load boards on these private market offers. They go out via emails or go out via text messages or offered on Facebook or somewhere else where there's no governance and there's no cybersecurity and there's not as much vetting in the process. So it's a challenge across the board. So that's really a misnomer. And I've actually spoken to Craig about this at Lease. So, but is that do you find some fraud on there? For sure you do. Yeah, because you got 150 million loads moving through those platforms.
And the fraud part, the industry has a direct incentive to solve that. That hurts every one of the players, and that's already being worked on in so many ways. The safety part is the one that's really kind of making me a little crazy, because we have these organizations, we have to abide by their rules, and the good players do, and we do everything we have to do to be qualified. And then these systems are so poor, the laws are written so poorly, there's no enforcement. So let's just pile it on anybody we can find to blame. In this case, it looks like it's going to be the brokers and the load boards. But that's not where the problem is. We shouldn't have to look at a carrier and say, okay, they have authority, they have insurance, and the driver has a license. What else are we able to find without a lot of work and a lot of expense?
Oh, right. I mean, it's the amount of time and expense that's been added to the marketplace because of having to vet these, for the most part, unqualified, unauthorized, and I would say illegal players that have come in our marketplace. That's the core root of the issue.
Yes. So let's fix that. Here's where I want the drivers, owner-operators, small fleets to think about something. Remember all the pushback, and it's still there, the pushback against companies like Highway. They're trying
Right.
to solve the problem in the middle because the government isn't solving it. Well, they're trying finally. See
Right.
how that goes.
Right.
That may work, and that may be the solution. But when companies had to come in and try to fix things in the middle, like Highway did, what kind of pushback did we get from owner-operators and small carriers? Screw them. I'm not giving them
Oh
my
my God.
information.
Yeah,
They can't connect to my
absolutely.
ELD.
Tremendous.
That's what you're going to get more of that if you keep blaming this on brokers and load boards. We're going to have to come up. It's going to be way harder to work with a broker. It's going to be harder to get signed onto a load board. All of that is going to fall on the people who are screaming, this is a great thing. Go after the brokers. They're scumbags. They've been ripping us off for years. Look at them now. They're causing all these accidents. No, the broker did not cause the accident. The broker didn't cause the bad carrier or the bad driver. The system is flawed. And if we have to fix it internally, all that burden is going to come down on the small carrier.
Yeah, for sure it is. For sure it is. And it's interesting. I spent some time with FMCSA Administrator Derek Bars last week, and they are very sincere about an open and honest way to try to fix the unqualified players in the marketplace. And by the way, let me just give you the number. If you take, and this is from Noel, and this is so I look at this aggregate number. Most people say you look at the non-domicile players, and there's going to be 197,000 out of the 210,000 that came in the market that are going to get taken out immediately. Well, it's a much larger number than that's going to be affected. It's about 852,000 drivers that will be affected. Now, they're not all bad players, no doubt.
Right.
There's many, many quality players in that segment. But when you look at English language proficiency, when you look at non-domicile players, and you look at the undocumented players, and then you put in the number of truckers that have to be hired to replace those that are going to be taken out of the marketplace, it's an affected market of about 852,000 drivers. That's 20% of capacity in the marketplace.
That's
you
scary.
Take out 20% in this market, rates will be above the pandemic. All right, but here's the thing: we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, we need to take a really honest look at this thing. And then, and this is my conversation with Administrator Bars. I said, how do you effectively do this system-wide? He said, this is something we want to have the dialogue with the industry about because we want to participate to be able to keep the good players in and get rid of all the unqualified players. He's saying unqualified very politely, okay?
Yes.
He really means the people that should have never been in the market in the first place. And these come in through like low barriers in registration, low barriers in the marketplace, and come in through the non-domicile part of it, but also coming to our market through CDL schools that aren't even authorized to train drivers. So it is a massive problem. And honestly, here's the thing, Kev, we kind of created it ourselves.
Yes, we did.
By being willing to turn a blind eye. And I'm not blaming trucking. I'm just saying, we're such a trusted industry. We all trust each other that we kind of just said, you know what, we're going to be okay. We need to loosen up the regulations, loosen up the enforcement to let more people in to kind of alleviate the capacity shortage that we have. Well, guess what? Here's where we are today. We got crime in our industry. We got unqualified players in our marketplace, and we're all suffering from it from a rate standpoint. It is not good for our industry.
Yeah. We all agree on the problem. I think where we differ is the solution, and I see an awful lot of talk on social media about this is all the brokers' fault. See, we've said they're crooks. That's just not the case. There clearly are people taking advantage of the broker world, but that's not the best way to fix it. It will be far worse. And we'll go back to what we've talked about for decades now, Brent, because our strategy still works for small carriers. Build the relationship with a couple of good brokers, and you can just skip all this stuff.
100%.
Yep.
You can skip every bit of it. 100%. Absolutely. If somebody knows you and you've been properly you can say vetting, you can say you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and you're going to avoid all this.
Now let's go down another path. We do talk occasionally about even very small carriers, one truck carriers, getting shipper direct freight. When you can do it, it can be a wonderful situation if it's done right. It's hard, I get that, but almost everything that's hard is usually worth doing because it's hard and other people aren't doing it. So if you have that ability, shipper direct freight can be a pretty amazing thing. Here's the problem. We're putting responsibility where it doesn't belong. If there's no broker in the transaction, and now we have a shipper, and they are trying to hold shippers now responsible as well if they contract directly. That means shippers are going to be a lot less likely to use a small carrier that they can't vet properly. Maybe you don't have enough records. Maybe you don't have a safety audit at all yet. They're just going to say, look, we can't do it. We can't take that risk that you're going to go out and kill somebody, and they're going to come back on us over it.
You know, it's Kevin, and that is a sad thing because the pandemic allowed shippers to experience the spot market or the small carrier market and trust it. And so it was such a good thing. I can't tell you, and something to try about there, I can't tell you how many shippers I talked to after the pandemic, and I said, are you more or less open to using the spot market, a small market carrier, today than you were before the pandemic? And they were all like, you know what? We were so panicked during the pandemic in needing to move our freight. We had to use kind of a market we weren't really comfortable with, mostly because they didn't know it. And they're like, it was great. They got our goods delivered for us. And so we're wide open to using the spot market, wide open to using that small market now. And to your point, this gives even the small carriers open door to even go directly to a shipper and say, I can provide you this service where nobody else can at this affordable competitive price. And now we're kind of getting, it's tilting back the other way on, hey, I don't know if I can trust that marketplace. So that's a great, I didn't think about that. As usual, you brought up something I didn't think about. That's a great point. That's a great point for the health of the small carrier. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk about rates because they've been kind of crazy too. Our flatbeds are starting to look like reefers were a couple weeks ago.
I'm telling you, man. And let me just pull my data up here because I'm driving, so I don't have it sitting in front of me. But I did send it to you. I know it's amazing. So I'll just go through the data real quick. Okay. So pressure in the market. We had more loads last week than 2 weeks ago, which means the pressure in the market when I remember, Tribe, when you've got more freight in the marketplace, it's a benefit to you. So when you see the market demand index go up, you've got a better opportunity to negotiate because that means there's more freight in the marketplace typically. Right? So the available freight went up about 3 or 4%. But here's the big kicker, KR, and I sent this to you. The difference between freight on the first week of this year and this past week, for last week, it's up 41% year over year, and which means it's about 45% above the normal 5-year average. So, wow. So when you look at rates out there, just know this. So the average rate went from, this is the average over all of the truckstop.com spot marketplace, 257 to 263, mostly driven by flatbed, but van rates stayed even at $2.31 a mile. The last time I checked, if you're hauling van, and granted, fuel went up 2 cents a gallon, so a little bit of it's driven by fuel because of granted, I think some of the things that with the potential, the attack, the Epic Fury attack we just had in Iran, but that effect shouldn't show up till really next week or the following week. But the point being is that it went up a little bit, so that had a little bit of influence on it. But look at this, 257, 263, the overall rate. Van stayed at 231. Flatbed went from 259 to 266 a mile. You should be able to make good profit. Refrigerated dropped about 4 cents, but it had been up at like 320. Yeah. So to 271. The point is that it is a good marketplace, and it has been for the last 6 or 7 weeks for the spot market. On top of that, KR, the big input that I want you to jump into this. The big thing was outbound tender reject index went up again. It was 13.75. I know. Last year at this time, it was 6%. It's like more than double, 100% increase year over year. It is a good market for you to make a good profit. Negotiate in this market. That
perfect segue for my next comment. Negotiate with good information. Here's what I see happen in a market like this. How many owner operators are running around not knowing this? They don't know this. If
Oh,
you don't,
a lot.
and if you don't know this, guess who is going to take advantage of you? The brokers know this.
The broker knows it.
The broker knows it, and the broker knows that most of you don't know it. So here's what they're able to do. They're able to, and this is, I don't fault them for this. This is how business works.
No, you shouldn't.
They are able to bump their margins up because there's so many carriers out there that don't realize what the real rates are because they're changing so fast. When rates are changing fast, it's just like when fuel prices are changing fast. You can either get screwed or you can take advantage of it. And if you understand that rates are climbing fast and where they're climbing fast, then you have a better chance of negotiating a better rate in that lane. If you understand it, that's why it's all about information. The broker's going to try to shop a cheaper rate around, hoping people haven't caught on to what the rates are doing. And for a lot of times, it's going to work for them because people don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to take away from this is, remember, it's a competitive marketplace. It's up to you. It's like buyer beware. Okay.
Yeah.
So know the conditions of the marketplace, and when you know you have an advantage to negotiate, no one's going to blame you for negotiating. No one's going to blame you for saying, "Wait a minute, I know I could probably get 275, and they got it posted for 250.
Yeah,
I'm going to negotiate a higher rate." And by the way, the broker's not going to blame you either because they know the marketplace. By the way, that's what they're best at. They are professional negotiators because they have all the data. Look, and they're fantastic. Because they have to negotiate with the shipper customer, and they have to negotiate with you because how they live is in the middle. Don't blame them for doing their job, but be armed with the right information for you to go in. And then here's the thing: when you have the information, it's not like you're arguing with them. You're just saying,
correct.
Hey, the market, the market present right now is this, and they're going to go, you know what? Yep, I see the same thing you're seeing. Let's settle on this. I promise you, it's not conflict. It's no conflict. It's just, hey, we know how to work with each other.
And this is the time to do it. We could say that the last couple of years have made negotiation difficult for small carriers because we had all the chameleon carriers and lousy drivers out there that would haul anything at any price. But that's changing too. So if you understand the whole dynamic of the market, those people are getting moved out of the industry pretty darn quick. I'm shocked at how fast this is happening, and it's a good thing. And at the same time, rates are going up. Now is the time to negotiate. You will have the strength this time.
Well, it really is. I'd also say this, and kind of comes back to the relationship part that we talked about. So knowing, this is one reason why I've been speaking about the enforcement of regulations on our industry and what's going to happen to the marketplace. Really trying to prepare the shippers, trying to prepare truck driving schools, trying to prepare any transportation company that's either in the audience listening to me or talking to them directly on, like, this is going to affect the marketplace. If you know what's coming at you with these regulations, then you're going to be able to adjust to it and get the best advantage in the marketplace that you can get from the standpoint of knowing that it's going to change. And that goes back to sort of the relationship. When you can get dependability, when the shipper can depend on you, or when the carrier or the broker can depend on you, they're going to give you a better rate because it's less time out of their day to negotiate, and they trust that the goods are going to get delivered on time, cargo's going to be safe, everything else. Why do I know how this is happening? It's because we now have a presidential administration that knows things are broken in our marketplace. I heard it directly from the Department of Transportation. We have an administration, this is President Trump, that wants to fix transportation. Now, don't take that as a negative. Don't take fix transportation. No, his point about fixing it, he wants to ensure that transportation is profitable for all the players in the market, that all of the bad actors are taken out, because he knows how important it is, and safe. He knows how important you are to the overall economy of the United States. He's not playing around with this. He's protecting your business, but he's also protecting every citizen in America by protecting the truckers that are out there. This is why this is going on. It is going to come fast and furious and getting all these bad players out of the market. I know it because they're asking us to be a part of it on both sides, on both truck stop side and truck parking club. They're like, how can you help us? How can you help us move fast? because it's a problem for all of our great American truckers out there.
So let's think about this. Think about all the stuff going on right now. We have this huge movement by the administration to get the illegals out, carriers, drivers, all of that. It's big. It's already happening. We're already seeing the impact. We've got a potential fuel crisis with what's going on in the Middle East right now, which could drive fuel prices up, which is not a bad thing. Could actually be a short-term good thing for good owner operators. We've got a crazy political climate. We've got technology changing everything. Can you think of, I'm going to go back to 1980, early 1986 when I bought my first truck. Thinking back from then till now, I cannot think of a more chaotic time in our industry. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, I'll tell you what, it keeps getting bigger and it keeps growing. And I'll say this to every tribe member and every owner-operator that listens to this, every small carrier. Where there's chaos, there's opportunity.
That's exactly where I'm going, yes. That's right.
If you can provide certainty in chaos, you are a hero to the customers you serve.
And let's think about the broker world right now. The last business I would want to own right now is a brokerage. A freight brokerage. I've been there. I can't imagine what they're going through in this. When you have chaotic rates like this is really, really difficult for especially small and mid-sized brokers. And the smaller they are, the worse this can be for them. They're in a tough spot right now with what's going on, which also they're getting it from all directions. You would think that if rates go up, it's good for the brokers. It's not. They get stuck in the middle of that where they've already quoted stuff and now they have to move it at a loss. This is a real, and they're getting hammered on the safety side. They're worried they're being held responsible for all this. It is a horrible time for them. You can be the hero. This is, in all this chaos, they need as many good, dedicated carriers as they can possibly get, and they will be looking for those kind of carriers. They will be willing to pay whatever to get their best freight moved on carriers they can trust and they don't have to mess with. Then they 100%. Can go out and deal with all the chaos.
100%. And I'll just tell you, Craig Fuller had a great thing on his freight update where he talked about if once the enforcement really starts to pick up steam and you start to see the exits and the lack of entrants coming in, you're going to see a rate marketplace that's going to be extremely beneficial to carriers. Yeah. Here's the thing. Start talking to your broker customers and to your shipper customers today about it. Start talking today about this is coming at you. How can I work the best with you? Because here's the thing. You'll end up with a great, great customer. If you bring this information to them, talk with them about how you can be a great, consistent, competitive provider to them, they will love you. They'll absolutely love you. So I couldn't encourage it more.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity. One other thing, and I want to talk about it before I forget it. We may come back to rates and that kind of stuff. Let's open up the phone lines too. Phone lines are open. Jump in and join us. 855-950-3835. Comment on anything we've been talking about so far. Bring us a question, whatever you got. Here's something else I saw on the...
I do want to let you know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I did need to let you know that I got to drop at about 10 till because I'm stopping at a location where I'm going to the event with my son. So
got it.
I've got about maybe 20 minutes.
Got it.
So no problem.
I was trying to watch the scenery to see if I recognized anything. I haven't seen anything yet.
I'm heading to Hilton Head, so my son is actually hosting a church conference.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still in Orlando.
I just got off of 95 on. I'm going towards Beaufort, South Carolina.
Oh, I know where you are.
People know how to spell that. You're smart. And Hilton Head. So,
got it.
I love it, man. I feel like you, man. I feel like you in the big rig and the big.
That's right.
In the Rockstar bus, man, where things are going by.
Yeah. So parking. I just saw this little blurb,
Oh,
and
goodness.
most
Yeah,
people
for sure.
probably don't pay attention to stuff like this, but it really caught my attention. This is why I don't like government getting involved in any of this stuff. People think parking is the government's responsibility. And in some cases, I get it, rest areas, that's fine. But I saw this article
For sure.
in Montana, of all places. Now, let's just start this off by saying, if you have trouble finding parking in Montana, you need a different occupation. Seriously, there are places in the country, I get it. There are places where parking is really difficult, and you better plan and know what you're doing. And that's why Truck Parking Club's such a great option. There are other places you can just, I could find a parking spot in Montana blindfolded. They're everywhere. There's so many places you can park along 90. We're talking about I-90 in Montana. Seven rest areas. They are going to spend, and I know today for the government, $1 million doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up after a while. They're going to spend $1 million to put up a sign that tells you how many parking spots are available in the rest areas. Well, come on.
I know. It's called the PIM. It's called the PIM system. Yeah,
come
that's
on.
not a very effective system.
It's not. It's all. And
hey, let me. Yeah.
one comment. I get you're trying to plan ahead, but really, how hard is it to roll through a rest area and see if there's an open spot? And in Montana, there usually is. But there's other things we could spend $1 million on. Here's the other thing about this. This is a physical system. This is sensors outside and then boards somewhere else displaying information. You spend $1 million to build it. What's it going to cost to maintain it every year in Montana winters?
Yeah. By the way, they have no budget to maintain it, just so you know.
Yeah, so it'll break down and it won't work.
Appropriations to build it.
Yeah.
There's no. So let me tell you how this is something so cool about Truck Parking Club. So right now we get the data feeds from 8 states on all of the available free parking in all the rest areas. So we get the data, we make it visible on our platform for free, no problem. Right. We don't charge the states anything, we don't charge the truckers anything. It's all available. This is really funny. This is why I love being out in the markets. I just spoke at the Specialty Carrier and Rigging Association to the Washto region of state DOT leaders. Guess who's part of the Washto region? Montana. And I spoke to one of the leaders at Montana, and I said, hey, I see that you guys are looking to do some things. I'm getting data out there to the marketplace. Would it surprise you to know that you could give me that data? I'll put it in my system, and it's resident on your phone.
Yes.
Any location. I'll do everything for you. And she is a young lady, and she goes, well, that's interesting. And I said, would it maybe motivate you more if I said, I'll do it all for free? I'll just include it as a service to the industry. Her eyes got really big like this, Gary. She goes, you mean tell me I wouldn't have to spend anything to do it? I said, zero. You just feed me the data. I'll make it resident to every 4.2 million truckers, everybody out there that has a transportation need. We'll make it visible for you for nothing. We'll make sure the data feeds stay up and resident. And when there's emergencies, like if there's a snowstorm or there's a wind issue or something, and you've got emergency parking in areas that aren't available normally, we'll make those resident on the system, and we'll advertise to truckers, here's where you can find rest, where you can find a respite. We'll do it all for you for free.
Yeah.
So free. That's like my son used to say, freecreditreport.com, baby. It's free. It's free.
Right.
It's free.
You're right.
So I'm working with all of them, and they're like, we didn't know you do this. And we're like, well, this is why trucking is a great industry, because we all want to help each other. We'll make plenty of money on the paid parking elsewhere, but if you've got free parking, and by the way, there's many states that are doing a great job. I just spoke to Alex Miller, who heads up the Florida Trucking Association. You used to hear about all of the areas they're going to build out for free truck parking and maintain truck parking in the state of Florida. I mean, it's great to see the states doing this, and we're all for it. We'll make it all resident in the system, no problem, of no charge. You don't even have to be a Truck Parking Club customer. You can just go on and find it for free.
Yeah.
Sure.
Again, business has a huge incentive to be effective at what they do, because if you're not, you'll go out of business. Governments have
you're irrelevant at that point, right?
Governments have zero incentive to be effective at what they do because the money keeps coming, whether they screw it all up or not. That's my problem. This was not a high priority area for parking. It's not well thought out.
Right.
The system is expensive. It's going to be expensive to maintain, and it doesn't have a lot of value if it's standalone only. If it's just those 7 rest areas, then big deal. You know, if I like the idea of a partnership of where there are government parking spaces working with Truck Parking Club to make it available in one place on the app. That's a wonderful
100%.
partnership. Yeah, I like that.
Well, I mean, you're either committed to helping trucking or you're not.
Yeah.
So we're committed to helping trucking. We advocate for the free parking. We're happy the $200 million came through. We're happy that for the TPSIA, I think that's what it's called, is Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act. We hope that $755 million comes through. But sadly, $1 billion, which sounds like a lot, it builds 6,000 parking places. That's all. We need 1.7 million. So
but
we're all happy for it. Yeah.
That math doesn't math well.
It doesn't matter. Well, I will say this. I just left the TCA show, and there was a tremendous conversation about truck parking and about the marketplace and all the things that you and I are talking about. So these are all the biggest of the big truckload carrier companies. I mean, 3,000 trucks, 5,000 trucks, 7,000 trucks, Knight-Swift, everybody else is there talking about helping to repair our market. And by the way, when it helps them, it helps the owner-operator. So we want to make sure that they want to make sure it's good for everybody, because they need a healthy marketplace just as much as anybody else does. So all these things are top of mind, and they feel the same way that what I've been talking about the last year. You and I've been discussing the marketplace continues to elevate just a bit, like very slowly in recovery. So then that's a good thing.
So one more thing, because I know we're getting close on time for you. I saw something this morning, and it's called Power Lease 3.0. They launched the platform on February 27th, so this is pretty new. I had never heard of it. It's actually a Canadian company. They're a subsidiary of Travelers Financial Group, which is a privately held.
This is crazy. I just spoke to one of their leaders in this.
No way.
His name's David. As a matter of fact, let me just say this real quick. Everybody out there in the tribe, if you're a praying person, be praying for David's grandson, who is having heart surgery at 4 p.m. Eastern today. All right, I'm not going to give out any names, but he's 1 month old. So my point, though, I just met David. He's a leader at Travelers Financial, and he talked about this new program. So that's crazy.
That is crazy.
You brought this up. I'll send you his information. He's a great guy. David's a great guy. It helps the marketplace tremendously. Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing: this is happening because we're back to trying to fix the independent contractor rule. We can trace this back.
Right.
The independent contractor rule under the Biden administration was about to go away almost completely had they gotten their way. Had
for sure.
Had the Biden administration rules gone through, we would have been looking at a lot of the issues we have in California with independent contractors, and it's a disaster. Trump came in, and now this has gone back and forth. Trump's first term, he tried fixing this, and they changed the wording. Then Biden came in and reversed it, made it all worse. Now Trump's back in. Here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so if you own the equipment in trucking, you're an independent contractor. That one is pretty straightforward and clear. What isn't always clear are lease purchase programs. Is that truly an independent contractor model or not? And I would argue that in most cases it's not. I am all for good, strong, independent contractor rules and making it easy to be an independent contractor. I'm not for things that just are just horrible programs and want to make everybody
Right.
an independent contractor. And I'm also not for the cheating that goes on in our industry where they truly are employees and you're just going to call them independent contractors. I want to see all that fixed. You got to fix the bad stuff in this too. And so here's what this company's claiming, and I'd love to talk to somebody. They're basically saying, you know, true lease purchase programs where the carrier owns the lease purchase, the carrier owns the equipment. It may be that they've started a third party, but it's still really the carrier that owns all of these. And you're locked into that carrier with the lease purchase. They're horrible. I don't necessarily want to see rules that make them go away, but there needs to be a lot of clarification on the independent contractor part. This company says those programs have almost a 90% failure rate. I would agree with that. It's horrible. I've watched it for years and years. And I've said the problem isn't the program. You could have the best lease purchase program. Carriers have asked me, help us write a good lease purchase program. And I've said, there's a problem with that. I'm going to write the best program possible. You're going to go out and recruit people that will fail no matter how good the program is. If you are ready and qualified to get into this industry with a truck, then you have the ability to go finance and buy your own. That's really what it comes down to. If you need a lease purchase program, it just tells me you're not ready for this. You haven't done the work. So that's why I'm against them. This company's taking a different approach. We'll see whether it works or not. They are currently claiming,
for sure,
they've already been doing this. This is just their 3.0 platform that just got released. Their claim is 83% of the people they put in lease purchase programs are succeeding. My first reaction is,
wow, that's great.
Yeah, except my first reaction is bullshit. I don't believe it.
Yeah, maybe so.
I don't believe it.
It may be how they're vetting them. I would. The numbers would kind of defeat them, but maybe it's how they're vetting them. I don't know, or maybe how they're helping them. I'm not sure.
More. If this turns out to be legitimate, I'd be the first one to support them. I'm just a little leery of these kind of numbers, and it is about vetting. They're saying we are not using credit score as the only measure. We're using performance.
That's what he told me.
Right.
Yeah.
We're using performance, which,
by the way, there he is, right
look
there.
at that.
That's the guy that
Isn't that crazy?
David Salk. Yeah. I will. If you want to have a talk with him, happy to get him on the phone with you, man.
And there was another company that really made the best effort at this that I've ever seen, and they were more successful, but I don't think their numbers came anywhere near this. Todd Amon started a leasing operation. He ended up selling it, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was a good friend of mine when I was out there too. Young guy, was in management at ATBS. Oh,
he's an Auburn guy. His name is I'll find it for you. I know him.
Yeah, good guy. Really sharp guy, and he was in management at ATBS. And Todd basically sold him the leasing company, and he went out on his own. And that's what their model was. It wasn't just credit and financial.
Matt Harris.
That's right, Matt. Great guy.
Matt Harris. There he is, right there. Matt Harris. Right. I never let data go.
Yeah, there you go.
Matt's a good guy.
Yeah. So and they had one of the best programs I had seen. For lease purchase, Matt was doing a wonderful job of helping, not just throwing somebody in a truck, using them up, burning them out, and then releasing the truck. Their model was, let's teach these guys how to succeed. And this is the same kind of idea. And you know what? I've had some of my, I don't know if you've ever heard of Blue Ribbon Logistics.
I haven't.
So the guy that started Blue Ribbon came to the CMC when he had been a professional photographer for 30 years. And we all know what happened to the photography industry. So so he wanted to get into trucking, and he came to the CMC, and then he came to the CMC twice, and then he bought his first truck, and then he offered to be our official photographer for the CMC, and he came for the next probably 7 years in a row.
Right.
He started
Right.
a small program
Wow.
like this on his own at Landstar. You come to work for him at
Okay.
Landstar. He puts you in a truck and he teaches you how to be an owner operator over, it's like a year to 18 months.
Wow.
And then he'll help you get the
Wow.
truck. And
Okay.
great program still going on. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, Larry had a stroke. And
Oh, wow.
they've struggled a little bit since then. But that was the
Right.
same
Right.
kind of idea. I had another guy,
Right.
same idea, was doing the same thing. He had been in the mortgage business when that all went to hell in '08, and he came to a CMC. I
Mm-hmm.
ended up partnering with him, and I
Yeah.
helped him run that. It was kind of a lease purchase teaching program like this one. We helped him run it a
Right.
bit. We brought him, new drivers for the program. He was killed by the whole COVID thing.
Wow.
Put him on a ventilator,
Man.
and he was done. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
horrible story. I
Wow.
were calling me, and yeah, it was. So I'm a believer in there is a model out there where we can help people
Right.
get into a truck the right way and get them started. And
Yeah. Well, I agree 100%.
this company looks like this is another attempt at that.
Yeah. Well, let me, I'll talk to David. And because when he brought it up, I was like, oh, that's an interesting point of view. So let me talk to him. Maybe if you want to have a quick convo with him, and then if you believe in what he's doing, maybe we bring him on the show and go,
Sure.
tell us how you're doing this.
Sure, let's try that.
So, but I think the thing, I mean, it's just unique to see, how trucking continues to find a way to proceed on, and
I
even
love
in
that.
difficult markets,
Yeah.
Me too, pal, me too. I tell you what, well, we're closing in on where we're going.
All right.
And I'm gonna have to jump out and get to the event because it starts like 5 minutes after we get there. But what a great conversation today, man. So try and pay attention, man. Kevin's out there trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. Just, there's common sense ways. And this is one thing I love about KR. It's common sense ways to create a successful operation.
One thing real quick, and then I'll let you go. I got a call I'm going to get to.
Yeah.
On the health side of things, you might want to listen to Wednesday's show. Have you heard the phrase peptides yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, you talked a little bit about it before, but what's up with peptides?
I'm doing a whole report on peptides. This is our next big health disaster. It really is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These things are being promoted as miracle drugs. There's a huge gray market on these things that they're being compounded and sold illegally. I mean, these are drugs that are supposed to have FDA approval, but they're actually drugs that are pretty easy to make. A peptide is really just amino acids tied together in a chain, which is also what makes a protein. If you have a complete protein, it's a bunch of amino acids in a chain. Peptides can be much, much smaller chains of amino acids, but they're really powerful drugs. Here's what nobody's saying. GLP-1. You know what that stands for? Glucagon-like peptide. Peptides are just a way to say GLP-1 weight loss drugs without saying GLP-1 weight loss drugs. And people are acting like, look, there's these peptides. They're natural. And no, they're not. They're not natural at all.
Wow.
And this is going to be a big problem. So I've got a big piece on Wednesday to talk about. You might want to tune in.
Wow. Well, I'll see if I'll actually be traveling back. Maybe I can pick it up. Yeah, absolutely, pal. Well, man, great being on today. As always with you. Thanks for the tribe. Appreciate you, my man.
All right. Have fun. Talk to you soon.
I care. We will. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to the phones. Phone lines are open. I've also got we are going to be talking here in about 10 minutes. We will be talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill. We're going to be joined by Blake Rowley. He's one of our CPAs at the firm we work with. And the One Big Beautiful Bill has a lot of tax law changes. So we're going to be talking about Not the whole bill. We're just going to be talking about the tax implications of it coming up at 9 o'clock, 10 minutes. If you want to jump in with any tax or accounting related questions, Blake would be the guy to talk to as well. I stay up on this, but I don't stay up on it nearly as much as I used to. This is one of those areas where I really depend on our CPA firm to do the heavy lifting and keep me informed. I just don't have enough bandwidth these days to research one more thing. So any tax-related questions at all, tax and accounting, if it's about the bill, could just be a general tax question. We'll take them while we've got Blake here, so line them up. Let's go to Nebraska. Brad, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'll be brief. On the Craig Fuller's report, I didn't get a chance to read it completely. And with the flatbed numbers, are they accounting for the washing out of capacity for the non-English speakers and non-domiciled?
You know, it not directly, but by default, you have to. We have indexes we can watch. The spot market index we talk about all the time, the one that's hard to get your head around, the rejection index. I'll think of the term here in a second. So that can tell us when those contract loads are being rejected, it's telling us that the spot market rates are climbing. Tender reject. When we talk about the tender reject index, that's what it's measuring. We talk about truckload to truck ratio, so freight to truck ratio. Those things all measure both sides. We have the demand side, how much freight is moving. We have the supply side, how much capacity do we have to move it. So as people get washed out of the industry, drivers and carriers, those indexes all start to reflect that.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to know. It was one of the more exciting things that I've read for a while, so I was pretty happy.
Oh, all of the news right now in trucking is really, really positive. I mean, I am not seeing now. We are very, very sensitive to the economy. Obviously, most of the markers in the economy now are good, but we're in a strange economy. One of the things I was going to talk with Brent about, we just didn't get to because there's so much to talk about. If you're a regular listener, you've probably over the last, and I guess it's been almost 6 years now. This kind of started in COVID, maybe even a little before. I've been using this analogy for quite a while, that what we're seeing in the economy and in politics, both, really look a lot like another time period that I remember, late 70s going into early 80s. I've been making this analogy for a long time now. We went from a weak Democratic administration with Carter, clearly not one of the better presidents of my lifetime, that's for sure. Really nice guy who's not a very effective president. And we had horrible economic numbers under Carter. Mortgage rates were at 17 and 18%. I mean, that is insanity. If that happened today, I can't even imagine what that would do to our economy. But we were heading there under Biden. That this is the analogy, the political analogy. The interest rates were climbing constantly. Now under Trump, they're coming back down again. We were talking about something that happened in the 70s called stagflation, which is it's a really odd economy. You have inflation going up constantly and you have no economic activity. Normally you have inflation because you have so much economic activity. But stagflation was horrible. No jobs and prices went through the roof. It was a really tough time. I could go on, and I've done it over the years. This was going on then, it's going on again. During that time, we went from a very weak Democratic administration to a very strong Republican administration with Reagan. probably one of our more famous presidents for having a really successful presidency. All of those bad economic numbers turned around. He eliminated stagflation. Now, whether he did it or not, we could argue till, the cows come home. We're never going to solve it. He was the president when it happened. He's going to get credit for it. You could argue that it was a whole bunch of other things, but we're seeing the same pattern again. Reagan was a very strong, very popular president that turned the economy around from ashes to a really big boom all through the 80s and early 90s. We had a great economic run. I'd love to go back to the economies of the 80s. That was just a great time. We're seeing those things happen again. Here's something else that just happened that also mirrors what happened in the 70s and 80s. Any idea where I'm going?
No.
Iran.
I was thinking back to the 70s. Oh, yeah.
Iran. It's almost like a repeat again. We were so weak politically. Iran decided to take, what was it, like a couple hundred people originally hostage? Imagine.
Yeah, a couple hundred.
Yeah, I don't remember the numbers. I was, just getting out of high school, but it was, they took our people hostage and held them hostage for a long time. If I remember correctly, they released him either the day he was inaugurated or took office, or it was right around that time they finally released the hostages after, again, I don't remember the time. It was a long time. We're not talking about a couple days. It was months. I don't remember if it exceeded a year or not.
Yeah.
And
it did. 444 days.
That's right. There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
So we went from a very weak administration that allowed a country like Iran to run roughshod over us and take a whole bunch of hostages and hold them for over a year. Can't even imagine looking back at that now. And we went to a much, much stronger military presence under Reagan. Reagan rebuilt the military. Now, I know that firsthand because I was in the Army under the Reagan administration. And our Army, when I got in it, was a wreck. We had a lot of fat soldiers, fat, out-of-shape soldiers. I was shocked when I got to my permanent duty station how bad it was. And that changed while I was in. And we just saw that happen again. Our military under Biden was a joke. I mean, it was awful how bad it got. And I'm shocked at how fast we've turned it around. And here we are trying to reverse what happened in Iran in the late 70s. Because that's when the Ayatollah took over. Most people don't realize Iran used to be called Persia. When I was growing up, there was no Iran. It was called Persia. And they were a very, very modern society. They looked a lot like the United States. There wasn't the Muslim presence at all. They were big into discos and nightclubs, and the women were wearing, short dresses and boots, and they were a very, very modern society, and that changed overnight. And now it looks like we whether you agree with this or not, and I'm not sure I do, but it's certainly good for the Iranian people.
Well, I think it's good for the region. I think the Gulf states, especially the ones that signed on to the Abraham Accords 6 years ago.
Yep.
I think Iran is the idiot that they're just tired of dealing with. It's like, you know what? We want to look how modern UAE and Bahrain is.
Yeah.
I think
Qatar,
everybody wants to be modern and respected in the world. And yeah, I think Qatar and Iran is the one that is dragging them down. So I think they're just kind of stepping back and saying, yeah, too bad.
Yeah, so it's just an interesting time. And here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that all of this leads to what we saw the last time coming out of that. We came out of a very bad economy into a decade of just really good economy, a boom town, and I'm hoping we see that again.
Yeah, and Reagan used tariffs.
Absolutely.
To some extent as well.
Yes, he did. There were a lot of similarities. Now, there's one huge difference, and I think this is the biggest problem. Reagan not only was very effective at what he did, he was a true diplomat. You almost couldn't help but like him. That's how we ended up with what the whole group that was called Reagan Democrats. The opposite is true this time. I don't care how effective Trump can be and how good his policies are. Trump's personality just aggravates the hell out of people. It's why we have Trump derangement syndrome. He makes me deranged sometimes trying to watch him. He's just a bizarre human being, and that's the one big difference. Reagan united us politically in a lot of ways, and Trump hasn't, and that's just his personality. So it's certainly different in that way this time.
Yeah. Well, I think it serves Trump in the business he was in.
Absolutely.
When do you make the most mistakes? When you're calm and thinking, or when you're emotional and pissed off at somebody by the way they act?
Right.
I think he gets people so unbalanced that they make mistakes.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. Which in business, I get. And we've always said we need more business-like people in government, and there are upsides to that. But if I wish he was just. Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.